Yeah, Mrinal, you were sharing something that I think I missed the initial part.
No, we were discussing the slide, right? From
The slide. Yeah.
the desire, the
Dhyayato
attachment, and the
Vishayan
delusion.
Saha.
Yeah, I went through that slide and then realized that we need to focus on that
So the Jnana
unshakable.
became Vijnana for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm. Even this Vibhuti Yoga, Bhagavan starts off saying, I will tell you that who are pleased with me, because Arjuna apparently is very happy about the last few shlokas that Bhagavan had told him, had taught him in chapter 9, which he says, my devotee will never be destroyed. He will attain me. So all that must have given Arjuna a lot of good feel about the whole thing. So then Bhagwan goes on to say, I'm going to talk to you about my vibhuti. I'll tell you Paramam Vachaha. Let me just share that. Gita verses. So the vibhuti is all about the saguna aspect of Bhagavan. So bhuya eva mahabaho shrunume paramam vachaha yatteham priyamanaya vakshami hitakamyaya. I think Nana did the pratipadartha, so we'll skip that so we can just focus on the meaning of this verse. Indeed, O mighty armed Arjuna, for your benefit, listen again to my words which reveal the limitless, which I will tell you who is pleased by my words. Name viduhu suraganaha prabhavam na maharshayaha aham adirhi devana maharshinam cha sarvashaha. So he says the whole host of gods, either them or the sages know me. Na viduhu, do not know. Aham adihi, because I am the cause. Devana maharshinam cha sarvashaha, of all the gods and the sages. So my glory or coming into being as this world. So Nana emphasized on coming as this world rather than coming into the world, which means the world is nothing but a manifestation of his vibhuti. So Yomam ajamanadincha veti loka maheshwaram asammuda samartyeshu sarva papai pramuchyate. He who knows me as the one who is unborn, not an effect, and beginningless, not a cause, the limitless Lord of the people, he among the mortals, being no longer deluded, is released from all punya and papa. Asammudaha, that is someone who is no longer deluded. This shloka itself is such a beautiful thing for contemplation, where the one who is beginningless and who does not have an end, one who is unborn. These are all beautiful words, beautiful sadhana tools for contemplation. Buddhir jnana masammoha kshama satyam damashamaha sukham dukkham bhavo bhavaha bhayam cha bhayameva cha ahimsa samata tushtihi tapodanam yasho yashah bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva prithak vidhaha. So it's beautiful. He talks of what all he is, the capacity to understand, knowledge, freedom from delusion, accommodation, that is kshama, composure, truthfulness, satyam, restraint in behavior, dhamma, mastery over the ways of thinking, shama, pleasure, tushtihi. And no, tushtihi is not pleasure. Pleasure is sukham. Yeah, dhamma, shama, sukham, dukkham, bhavo, bhavaha. So it is pleasure, creation, destruction, fear, and fearlessness. And further, harmlessness, equanimity, satisfaction, religious discipline, charity, fame, ill fame. These many different things of living beings are all from me alone. So what was profound for me was that all of this in creation, whatever is there in creation is nothing but his manifestation. So how we need to look at it is just withdraw from that and look at all of that as a witness.
But this is all mithya, right? It's not
All
anything.
this is nitya. Yeah.
So they have to get rid of all of that.
Correct.
But then we read about this, what Bhagavan has, the 6 gunas, right? Like 6 things
Correct.
that also is included in part of it here, right?
Also
like,
included.
Yeah. The form.
Aishwaryam, Yashaha.
Yeah. The fame and I keep forgetting all the Sanskrit words.
Overlordship, Aishwarya, the
overlordship, jnana, balam,
yeah. Shri.
vairagya.
Correct.
And, yeah.
Total dispassion. Everything is absolute. Absolute wealth, absolute freedom, absolute dispassion, and absolute overlordship. Aishwaryam, Yashaha, fame.
Yashaka. Yeah. When I saw that one, I remember. Like,
Yeah.
Yashaka.
All this, if you look at it, it is the Prakriti aspect of Bhagavan. There are 2 aspects, the Purusha and the Prakriti, So the unborn, limitless, beginningless, one without death, all that is the Purusha aspect, the Shiva aspect of it. And Prakriti is the manifestation, the creative aspect of Bhagavan, which is again born of Maya. So all of this is all of creation. It includes everything, all the pairs of opposites, ups and downs, sukha, dukkha, yasha, ayasha. All that is his manifestation. Health, disease, all that. But in our mind, somewhere, because of our ignorance again, and because of our previous vasanas, we have some ragas towards something, some dvesha towards something. So we tend to hold on to these concepts of this is good, this is not good. So when you're we tend to be averse to certain things, but then that is where the Sthita Prajnata comes in.
Right. But when I'm looking
Irrespective
at
of
this
what you're going through, irrespective of sukha, dukkha.
Right. When you see the opposites, so he made, I mean, he created these gunas, but then, I'm just trying to, he's part of that, but then he's not making you feel angry or any of that, right? I mean, your mind is the one getting into it, not the God is doing all that. You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he says you make all these things like pressure, creation, destruction, and all this. But then the individual, when they are happy, when they are doing that, he is part of that dukkha and part of that uh, joy. Is that how we have to take it?
Yeah, I get what you're hinting at.
Mm.
Um,
Because some of this,
because all of it is ajnana janitam. No, all that is because of ignorance.
Jai Gurudev, has he in the first stanza, has he mentioned jnana and agyana? I don't think, right? He didn't mention about ajnana.
Yeah,
He just said jnana.
yeah. He said the first shloka. Aham adiri devana maharshinam cha sarvashaha. No, this one was buddhir jnanam asammohaha.
So he is not mentioned about ajnana. Never, I mean, at least in these stanzas, he has not mentioned ajnana. He's ajnana. No.
But in a way, it is ajnana also, right? Because see, what is ajnana? Nothing but maya janitam, and he is maya is his manifestation. It is out of him that maya has come.
I think absence of him is ajnana or no?
Ajnana is because of maya, isn't it? Ajnana of what? Ajnana of his true nature, of our true nature. And that is because of maya.
And vice versa, right?
yesterday I could not sleep for whatever reasons. But after this Manana of the Gita, I want to take off. So, but it was nice yesterday. We did the two sloga 62, 63.
Yeah,
I probably had to go to 64, I think.
yeah. So what is the question, Rinal, that you have?
It's asking
In
about the
these
ignorance.
stanzas, maybe we'll get that further.
Yeah, yeah.
It is too early to ask this question. He has not mentioned ajnana. He's ajnana also. He's not mentioned that. That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Mirnal about her question yesterday. Just 1 minute, what I want to tell you, when I was studying medical school, usually we constantly are prepared for the exam and all this. So you're just stuck to the home, your room. I'm studying. I lived in the hostel. And then you look out the window, this gods, the cows are grazing, without any problem, like I feel at least they are all enjoying outside. And then the gardener who comes to our hostel to carry out some chores, and there's the old husband and wife. They both leave the place. So the reason is I'm saying, like, when you're studying for it, it gets very difficult, and then you try to look up to other people who are all enjoying. It's like, right, they are happy. Why we have to study like this the same way?
Correct.
That's a nice example.
it happens to you, right?
Mm.
I could be that cow just like grazing and nice sunny outside, and why do I have to deal with this? The same thing happens to now because I am reading, meaning like with since we started with the Atma Bodh and these things, constantly thinking about it.
Mm.
So I'm doing more research and research on top of that, see how the connecting things. So it I came to the same stage today. That's why I remembered, oh, I should tell this to Myrnal. Okay. Uh,
Which is very apt, very wonderful. You got
Very
a
wonderful.
wonderful, correlation.
yeah,
Mm.
It is
because
beautiful.
like this is one of the things you think it is easy, like let me tell you something. When I was growing up, I know I'm going to take few minutes because it's actually, since we are small group, 1 week, 1 day we should just get to know each other a little bit. That way when we talk, you may understand me better. um, why I'm saying this is like we are all right from the beginning, like a young age, we're all brought up at home, like praying, doing puja regularly. Friday mean you do this, all kinds of stuff. So that was kind of routine, like you do sloka and do this, do that. But then nobody we asked the question as to why we are doing this. They all did it and we just follow the same thing, right? It did not occur. And we go to the temple. But it definitely gave the good feeling and calmness, and make us behave like with the good what do you call the good behavior, good things, like you respect elders, and lots of good things happening. But then I wanted to read this kind of thing throughout my working years. I could not do much. I'll put the CD on, listen to it, that's all. But since the last 4 months, uh, it's been really hectic. One thing, I didn't know Sanskrit, so it's still trying to understand the meaning and see I'm really getting it. And then now with the Gita, and then we are getting into Atma. Oh my God, it's you have to go through this. So I read something called Katha Upanishad, and it's really beautiful. That Nachiketa story, it tells you very well. And
Kathopanishad. Yeah.
Katha Upanishad. And then there is another one I probably asked you for a while. Mahabharata, finally I wanted to find it where that Vishnu Sahasranama comes, and in the context, how it was told by Bhishma to Dharma, whatever. But that particular parvam, Asina, what is called Asinanika Paramam, I believe. It's like almost 1,000 pages, but I couldn't read all of it. But it's beautiful, how poor Bhishma is on the bed of all this, those, what do you call that? Uh, what do you call that one? The will,
Bed
Arrows.
of
arrow,
arrows.
yeah, arrows. They call it
Yeah.
as in Sada
Shaya.
will bed or something like that.
Yeah.
In Hindi or anyway, he's standing
Ampashayana, it's called.
Anantashayana, Ampashayana. Okay, he's
Ampashayana.
there,
That is
and
a
then
bed of
bed
arrows.
arrows, and then he is doing this. What do you call that? So he's waiting for Uttarayana. And then he goes into meditation. They say you all can go off, go about doing your job and whatnot. And then at the end of the war, oh, that this is interesting to me because we thought the Sigandi, they put the Sigandi in front of Arjuna, and they tricked him, then they killed him. it wasn't like that actually story wise. Dharma is on the 10th day, he's all before the 10th day of the war, all the Pandavas things are broken. You know, a lot of people are got killed. So he is worried and he's talking to Krishna saying, how can I get, I'm going to win. And we have to find out from uh, this Bhishma, because he said he can give me advice, but he cannot, um, he cannot fight for Pandavas. He can only be on the Kaurava side. So he goes there and so let's go and talk to him. So he goes and talk to him, Krishna and Dharma, and Dharma says, until he's alive, I mean, he says nicely everything, you know, how good he is and all that. But then, but we have to either kill you, and that's the only way we can get the way, you know, we'll be successful. Otherwise, we'll have to leave and we'll take, you know, go back to the forest again. So he says, I will tell you what you should do. Then, so Bhishma is the one telling him that he won't attack like women or some other people who are not well, those kind of people, he won't attack. So that's how, and then that when you have a chance, then you kill me. That's how that he agreed to do that. On the 10th day, they shot him with a lot of arrows and put him down. That was really sad. But even on that bed of the arrows, that he is giving a lot of information to at the after the end of the war, where he Pandavas killed everyone and they won the war. They go to Bhishma and ask him how to uh, you know, how he should uh, lead the country and how the people to be treated and all kinds of kind of advice he will give. In that one, you know, he asked, you know, what God he had to uh, worship. For that, you know, he gives this Vishnu Sahasranama. It's very nice.
Yeah,
I think
nice. Thank
even
you for
Indians.
sharing, Dr. Mara.
Yeah, it took a
So,
lot of your time.
yeah, no problem. Should we get on to chapter 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yesterday we saw, given that the dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate, sangat sanjayate kamaha, kamat krodho vijayate, krodhat bhavati sammohaha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhramshat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashati. So we've seen the downward spiral.
Very
And
good, actually. Oh,
also,
you are just reading the song. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I didn't want to go back again. It's going a lot.
Right,
So
right.
the whole import is that instead of meditating upon objects, the message of Gita is very clear: meditate upon the self.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of meditating upon your own problems and inhibitions, meditate upon the pratyagatma, the inner self, because if you do not, you will naturally meditate upon the objects, which is the cause of all your problems.
Mm.
This is such an important, profound, profound few sentences. It's like a slap on your face. Come on, where are you? So every time we tend to get a little misled, I think we should remind ourselves of this. Why are we here? What are we doing this for? Are we getting unnecessarily deviated? Are we getting distracted here and there? So time and again, bringing back our mind on track. It's so important. That Shama is so important. Restraining ourselves, putting ourselves back on track. Otherwise, the monkey mind will go from here to there, everywhere.
Maybe we have to, after finishing the second chapter, review it together. Maybe we'll get some of those things.
Yeah, I think
Important ones. Yeah.
correct. And I'm waiting. I think after we've completed chapter 2, we will do the Atma Bodh ones. We'll just go through that.
Yeah, I missed that Tattva too, you know. Oh, I
Haha.
had a question about that one. I forgot to ask you. So we are talking about Atma Jnanam, right? The same way they say Tattva Jnanam. What is that Tattva Jnanam
I think it
implies?
is the same.
Tattva Jnanam.
Tattva is
Tattva
nothing
is
but talking
principle.
about you. Atma is that. You are that. So it is only describing you as the thing. Like even in the Bhagavad Gita, what Nana said, the first 6 chapters talk about Tvam. They talk about you. You as the manifestation, you as your mind, your buddhi, the senses. Like the last 2 verses, it's a beautiful description of what happens, the psychology of desire, and how the attachment leads to anger, delusion, and the whole downfall. So all that is about talking about you. Whereas Tvam, that is Tvam. Tat is Atma. Tat is the Parabrahma. Tat is that.
Yeah, there was one, tomorrow we'll go through those 10. And the 10th chapter, there was one line, it came Tattva, something like that.
Tatvataha, is it? Yeah. That is, I think, talking about about Brahma. Tat, that is Brahma.
Brahma.
Yeah,
So you said, you did say that Brahma, okay.
correct. Tat Tvam Asi. That is why it is called Tat Tvam Asi. रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति. 2 whereas ragadvesha free from likes and dislikes, atma vashyaihi, with those that are under his or her control, indriyaihi. Just a minute. Yeah. Atma vashyaihi, with those that are under his or her control, indriyaihi, with sense organs, vishayan charan, moving in the world of objects, vidheyatma, one whose mind is controlled, prasadam, tranquility, adhigachati, attains. So whereas one whose mind is controlled, moving in the world of objects with the sense organs under his or her control, free from likes and dislikes, attains tranquility. We have seen that even a viveki cannot but dwell on objects of raga dvesha, likes and dislikes, if he or she still has rasa, a value for these objects. And this dwelling upon is also called meditation. One dwells upon objects of dvesha in order to avoid them, for which one has to scheme and plan, whereas objects of raga are dwelt upon in order to gain them. Dwelling upon the desirability of objects is indeed the basis for all problems that come later. It is the cause for the affection and love that develops for the object. Once affection is there, it will naturally turn into desire. If the desire is fulfilled, there is no problem. But if it is not fulfilled, the whole psychology of how one loses oneself comes into play. As Krishna pointed out in the previous two verses.
Mm.
The present verse reveals how the problem created by unfulfilled desires becomes neutralized, and once again points out the starting point for moksha, liberation. The present verse reveals how the problem created by unfulfilled desires becomes neutralized. He's giving us the solution. And once again points out the starting point for moksha, that is liberation. The natural pursuit of a person's sense organs is in keeping with his or her raga, dvesha, likes and dislikes. But suppose the person is a seeker, a mumukshu, meaning that he or she wants moksha, for which self-knowledge is required, then all his pursuits cannot be dictated by his raga and dvesha. The word mumukshu is especially pertinent here in that it means one who is desirous of liberation. Moktum ichuhu mumukshuhu. We have seen that moksha is one of the four pursuits open to a human being. But for a mumukshu, moksha alone is important. He or she has already sought after and experienced pursuits of security, artha and pleasure, kama, or has learned about them by observing the pursuits of others. From all these, the person has developed discrimination, viveka, and because of this viveka alone has become a mumukshu. Thus, the one who has viveka is a mumukshu, whereas a person who is merely curious is not. The person who wants to be free must necessarily have a lot of viveka for this particular desire. At the same time, he or she does have some raga and dvesha. Raga, dvesha do not just go away because the person has viveka. What does a mumukshu do then? This was exactly Arjuna's situation. During the war that eventually ensued, his son died, and Arjuna took a vow that before sunset, he would avenge his son's death by killing the person who was responsible. We see then that Arjuna had a lot of grief. This was because Raga Dvesha do not go away overnight. Even though in the 18th chapter of the Gita, which preceded the above episode, Arjuna had said, "No more delusion for me. I know exactly what it is all about." He still had ambitions and therefore attachments. He had definitely been living a life of dharma, but raga dvesha was still in his heart. This is why one has to live a life of karma yoga for a length of time. So the whole purpose of karma yoga is to rid ourselves of raga and dvesha. So after listening to all the 18 chapters, when Arjuna actually begins to fight the war and he loses his son in the war, Abhimanyu is lost, is dead, he takes a vow because he was grieving. So he was part of the, he was caught up in his own raga and dvesha. A karma yogi is a mumukshu. The sense organs of a mumukshu are freed from raga dvesha, meaning that they are not backed by raga dvesha. This is because the mumukshu has been living a life of karma yoga. Such a person does not run away from the world. where would he or she go? The mumukshu goes about in the world, experiencing the sense objects. The word charan here generally means reaching or going in the sense of movement, but it can also have the sense of knowledge. In fact, any verbal root that has a sense of reaching or going has also the sense of knowing or experiencing. For example, the expression reaching Brahman means understanding or knowing Brahman. There is no going or moving in the sense of reaching somewhere. So too in this verse, charan does not mean that the person is moving around in the physical sense. The word means experiencing and takes all the sense organs into account. The experience of seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, and tasting. The senses are open and the world of sense objects is there. The verse also describes the sense organs as being in the person's hands and not in the hands of ragadvesha. Atmavashyaihi ragadvesha vayuktaihi indriyaihi vishayan charan. This means that all one's pursuits are not dictated by raga and dvesha, but by dharma and adharma, and what is proper and improper. The person decides what he or she wants and is not goaded by his or her likes and dislikes. The raga dvesha do not decide. When your raga dvesha do not come between yourself and the sense pursuits, the determining factor for the sense pursuits is purely dharma and adharma. Then you become one whose mind moves only according to your will. In other words, you are a person who is together. Such a person is a karma yogi, living a life of karma yoga for the sole purpose of neutralizing his or her raga dveshas. Every karma yogi is a mumukshu. A person is a karma yogi because he or she is a mumukshu. Karma yoga is there only because the person has mumuksha, desire for liberation. Because karma yoga is meant for moksha, the karma yogi pursues knowledge while engaged in freeing himself or herself from the hold of raga and dvesha. This latter pursuit makes the person a karma yogi and marks the difference between a karma yogi and a sannyasi. Whether the person is a sannyasi or a karma yogi, he or she is one who has the senses and mind together. Such a person gains satisfaction or tranquility, prasada, prasadam adhigacchati. We have already seen that prasada is anything that comes from the Lord. But prasada has another meaning also: cheerfulness, satisfaction, tranquility, which is what happens in the mind of one whose sense organs are in one's own hands, and when one is free from the hold of raga and dvesha. The satisfaction, the contentment is with oneself. The mind is steady, and there is an almost total absence of agitation and self-dissatisfaction. The person's knowledge is steady, sthira, and it stays. That raga dveshas are to be tackled is the whole psychology of the Gita. Should we stop here today? Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Gurudev.
धन्यवाद ब्रह्म